Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a pretty unorthodox theory of everything called the S-DMT model. Now, this thing attempts to weave together some of the biggest questions in science and history all into one single cohesive story.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? But the S-DMT model basically argues that the answer is a resounding yes. It's claiming there's a hidden code connecting all these seemingly random things, and it all kicks off with one really radical idea about what space actually is.
Okay, so get this. The theory says that the vacuum of space, it isn't empty at all. It's not a void, it's a dense, super dynamic fluid that fills absolutely everything. You gotta picture it like a cosmic ocean.
And this cosmic ocean is what the model calls a thixotropic fluid. The best way to think about it is like ketchup. You know how it's thick and stuck in the bottle, but the second you shake it, it flows? This cosmic fluid is kind of like that. It can act like a solid or a liquid. So in this view, everything we see, atoms, stars, galaxies, they're not fundamental. They're just things that emerge from how this cosmic fluid behaves. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this one idea, it changes everything. Things we take for granted, like gravity, are no longer fundamental forces. Nope, they're just consequences of fluid dynamics. Imagine something moving through water. It creates pressure differences, right? Well, in this model, gravity is just a pressure shadow cast by matter moving through this cosmic fluid. Even something as mind-bending as Einstein's relativity is explained as just a natural acoustic property of this medium.
So, if the whole universe is a fluid, it has to have rules, right? Well, the S-DMT model claims it's found them. It says you can boil down all of physical reality to just three magic numbers. Three fundamental constants that supposedly govern the whole shebang.
The first constant is called beta. This is the universal scaling factor. According to the theory, this one number dictates the size, the spacing, and the scale of literally everything in existence, from the tiniest particles to the biggest planets.
Okay, the second constant is where things get a little more abstract. It's not some number they just found in nature. It's a very specific fraction, 16/29, which the model claims comes from the fundamental geometry of space-time itself. And this fraction, it leads to a really critical threshold,
which gives us what the model calls the jamming limit. This is the exact tipping point, 55.0172%, where that cosmic fluid is said to jam up, to basically crystallize and form the stable structures that we call matter. And the third and final constant is gamma. This little number represents a tiny, built-in amount of friction in the cosmic fluid. Think of it like a very slight drag in the system. And as you're about to see, this tiny bit of friction is the key to understanding why some things in our universe are fundamentally unstable. So, we've got our three numbers. Now for the most important part. What does the model actually do with them? Well, its first huge, and let's be honest, very bold claim is that with just these three constants, it can predict the masses of all known elementary particles. The main idea here is something they call the cosmic keyboard. The analogy is that every single particle in the universe is like a musical note. Its properties, its mass, its stability, it's all determined by where it lands on this cosmic scale. This is where that keyboard idea really starts to click. See, the model assigns a harmonic index, or a K-value, to each particle. And here's the real kicker. Look at the stable particles, the electron, the Upsilon Meson, the Higgs boson. Their K-values are all perfect, clean integers. It's like they're perfectly tuned notes hit right on the key. And this really shows you the core idea. Stable particles are the notes played perfectly on the keys. But what about unstable particles, like the muon? Well, those are the dissonant notes that fall between the keys. And that fractional part of its K-value, the 0.171, that's not random. The theory claims it's a direct signature of that universal friction constant, gamma. Okay, so the model makes a pretty interesting case for particle physics. But it doesn't stop there, not even close. This is where it takes a huge leap, claiming that the exact same cosmic keyboard, the same harmonic rules, can be found in ancient history, in biology, and even in sound. First up is ancient architecture. The model points to the pyramids, claiming that the old units of measurement they used to build them were based on the Fibonacci sequence. And here's the connection. It links the Fibonacci number 55 directly to its jamming limit constant of 55.17%. The implication, of course, is that these ancient builders somehow had an intuitive grasp of this universal code. Then it jumps over to biology. The theory brings up the number 64, which just so happens to appear in two very different places: the codons in our DNA and the hexagrams of the ancient Chinese I Ching. The model says,
Hey, that's no coincidence. It claims that 64 is a number you can derive directly from its fundamental constants, and it even describes DNA itself as a thixotropic liquid crystal. There's that same idea again, of a fluid that can act like a solid.
And it doesn't stop there, it even extends into the world of sound. It takes on these so-called sacred frequencies, like the 528 Hz frequency that's often linked to DNA repair. The model argues these aren't mystical at all. Instead, they're specific acoustic keys that resonate with our biology, based on the exact same universal math, and it even provides precise formulas to calculate them from its core constants.
So, after all that, from particle physics all the way to pyramids, what are we supposed to take away from this? The S-DMT model is, you can't deny it, a grand and incredibly ambitious vision.
Starting from just one simple idea, that the universe is a fluid, it builds this all-encompassing framework. It really tries to connect the dots between hard science and ancient mysticism, basically suggesting they're just two different languages trying to describe the same underlying harmonic code of reality.
Now, it is absolutely crucial to state that the S-DMT model is not accepted by mainstream science. Its claims have not been rigorously verified. But whether it's a true theory of everything or just a fascinating case of finding patterns where we want to, its sheer scope leaves us with a pretty provocative final question. Is the universe a perfectly tuned instrument, or do we just really, really want to hear the music?